This morning, in a significant development, the United States, whose vaccination drive was among the fastest in the world, has conceded that it won't be able to meet its own deadline to vaccinate all adults by 4th of July. Let's listen in.
We don't see it exactly like something went wrong. How we see it is we set a bold, ambitious goal, something the president has done from the very beginning. And we are expected to meet that goal just a couple weeks after July 4th. And in fact, at this point, as of today, we're going to be already at that point for people who are 30 years of age and older.
The U.S. government won't meet its goal of administering one or more doses of COVID vaccine to 70% of its adults by 4th of July. The goal also included getting 160 million Americans fully vaccinated. The White House COVID response team has said that they would need a few more weeks to do so. Remember, Biden had initially set the goal for on May 4th to have 70% of the adults vaccinated. The main reason for falling behind has been attributed to greater amount of vaccine hesitancy. Now, White House COVID-19 response team coordinator has said that the hesitancy is leading cause of unvaccinated adults aged 18 to 26. Now, after a rapid ramp-up of the U.S. immunization campaign, which included giving out freebies to encourage vaccination, the United States' inability to reach that milestone underscores perhaps the biggest roadblock here, which is vaccine hesitancy. Another reason for the concern here is the spread of the COVID Delta variant, which makes up an increasing share of coronavirus cases in America. The Delta variant now accounts for nearly 20% of COVID cases in the States. The strain is said to be more deadly for younger people. Nationwide, the country's vaccination rate has been declining since April. Remember, it had a peak average of 3.4 million daily shots. The latest average is around 850,000 daily shots. As of Tuesday, 65.4% of the adults had received at least one dose of the vaccine, and 70% of over 30s nationally have received one or more shots. 70% of over 27s are expected to be partially vaccinated by 4th of July. And more than 15 states have already surpassed Biden's goal, yet plenty are still catching up. Despite the falling vaccination numbers, the coronavirus infections continue to plummet in the states. The latest 7-day average is around 10,000 new infections, which means just 3 per 100,000 people. Daily deaths are at around 270 on an average. And for more on this, WION correspondent Kate Fisher is now joining us live from Washington, D.C. Kate, thank you for joining us. Like I mentioned, vaccine hesitancy is being attributed to be the leading cause here. What other things do you think have led to this? Do you think it was just an ambitious goal to begin with?
Well, certainly the Biden administration has prided itself on setting what it describes as ambitious goals. For example, getting 100 million Americans vaccinated in the first 100 days of his administration. And this is the first goal that he has missed. But the White House keen to say, look, it's really not that bad. It's only a couple of percentage points below that 70% mark, and we'll achieve it by the middle of July anyway. But as for the reasons, you're right. It is a lot of vaccine hesitancy, particularly among communities of color and among Republicans. Many of them are very skeptical about vaccinations and believe that it hasn't had enough time to be tested. They're also concerned. They also believe that if they have had COVID already, they should have some kind of immunity, and that is stopping many of them from going to get these shots.
Right, Kate, you're right. Actually, if we come to think of it, the percentage that has been partially or fully vaccinated, the difference, the margin of difference isn't that high. Do you think the Delta variant has some sort of an impact on why people are not getting out to get vaccinated?
Well, the White House COVID task force gave a press conference earlier today in Washington, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is the senior advisor on COVID-19 to the White House, was very concerned about the Delta variant, saying that it is the greatest threat to the effort against the coronavirus in the US at the moment, and 1 in 5 new cases are down to the Delta variant, and that is the biggest concern, and that was the reason he was using as to why people must get the vaccination, to try to improve that herd immunity, and of course to protect themselves, that even if they do contract the Delta variant, that they are not hospitalized from it and that they are less likely to spread it to other people.
Right, Kate. Also, going forward, we know that just to ramp up vaccinations, freebies were being given out. What are the other measures that they're planning to adopt now to combat this problem?
Well, they are trying, they say they will not let up on the intensity of their vaccination programme, but we're moving away from these mass vaccination sites now into much smaller, targeted efforts. The people that remain unvaccinated in the US need more than just some signs and encouragement to go to get their vaccination. They need to be met in their doctor's surgeries, in their schools, in their places of work, their places of worship, and they need to talk perhaps to medical professionals and get their questions answered and so on. So the White House saying that they are going to double up on those efforts. And of course, we've seen many incentives being offered, everything from free college tuition to free beer for people to try to encourage them to get this shot.
Right, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us with all those updates.